Little Flower, Patricia Ann Landon Regali from Houston. So, okay, I've been in Seattle because I've had to flee Houston. I mean, literally flee Houston because I was getting government drugged all the way home every day for I don't know how long. And not to mention, I was getting government drugged by doctors in fucking hospitals, and even Houston Fire Department over there, one of them hospitals. So, you know, it was fucking awful. So, anyways, what I really wanted to touch base about was the militia, so to speak. Okay, the militia of these government grubbers. You know, running the sideways game with the gaslighting and a psychotic street theater. So when I say it's a militia, it's like a militia because the government grubbers are stationed. They're staged. When I say staged, they're staged. That means, you know, they have their own ebb and flow. And say, for instance, this park over here. The government grubbers, what they do, they have their own cycle of ebb and flow. I mean, like, for instance, so you'll see somebody come in with the government grubber, but then up here, see, okay, so there, you can tell by two things. Well, actually, more than that, is their uniform, the horse uniform. And then also what they do is that they have these, they have their units, you know, the people. They go in with the pattern. So you'll be able to see the pattern in the display of the operation. So whenever whenever you go somewhere, and then you just observe for about, 15 minutes to catch the flow, to catch the template, to catch, the rhythm of things. Because first off, oh my God, yeah. First off, they government grub together in pairs because they're too fucking coward to do it by themselves. And, I'm like, okay, if you're going to government grub somebody who's alone, I mean, isn't that like cheating to fucking bully somebody by themselves? Yeah, they don't care. They're about the government grubbing. But the thing about it is that, there is a template. There is a template. And then this is how overly saturated this militia is. For instance. Okay, see this park? It's beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous. But the government, the treason part of the government that squats on the liberties, that portion of the government, they can keep their clown college, because that's another word for, clown. It's referencing the government grubber, the treason bastard. The clown college refers to how these people get trained to run their Nazi game. But you have to remember, this is Nazi in origin. And it is Dr. Mengele who was their godfather. So basically, they get trained to be a fucking, snake in the grass. Hence the clowns doing clown college. But overly saturated here that they can keep so many people going in, units of segmentation to keep it running. So these people already come pre-packed with their gaslighting in place. So anytime you see a government grubber, that's a war zone. That is a war zone. Because they're there to disturb the peace. They're there to create the oppression. They're there to create their target to commit suicide. And so if you are untrained, if you are unaware, you're kind of really think you're going crazy when you're not, because it's a psychotic game of psychosis. What you have are a bunch of people being tooled. Some of them do it, because they're about the psychosis. They're being tooled to run the game. So unless you are aware of that, you're going to question yourself, because it's nothing more than a shanty psychotic operation to get people to commit suicide, and then they'll keep the government grubbers running the fucking psychosis until the wheels fall off. Like this one over here, she's a government grubber. How do I know? She fell into the rhythm of the segmented people coming and going. Hello, grubber. And then another reason is that they're taught not to say anything. As another reason, because somebody, normal would be like, what's that about? There would be authentic dialogue. So that's another dead giveaway. But then also, she wore the horse clothes. I know the template. You can parachute me anywhere in the world and just drop me off. I'll be able to sniff out the government governors pretty quick without even speaking the language. So, but I'm just trying to bring into focus how overly saturated this government grubbing business is. Because, you would be like, okay, who's going to take the time to, do all of this orchestrating? Bitch, they take the time to do all of that orchestrating. I mean, okay, this is how overly infiltrated it is. For instance, the fact that the running game is, what's gang stalking? Oh my God, let's not even go there. But let's hike this up to an academic notch to see for yourselves how overly saturated it is. For instance, the DSM-4. That is like the Bible of pathology and psychosis and such. I haven't looked it up, but I'm willing to bet if you look up gang stalking, it'll say it's an aberrancy. That's a psychosis of the mind. I mean, because if you throw somebody who says they're being followed and says they're being gang stalked into a mental health facility, you're going to do more damage than harm, because guess what? There's no amount of Haldol or any psychotropic medication that will solve the gang stalking, because it's extrinsic, not intrinsic. But 10 to 1, if somebody is put in a mental health facility because of the gang stalking, because nobody wants to believe them, which is part of the whole, group psychosis, which is a defaming and devaluing circuit, which is a gossip mill aimed at causing the target to commit suicide. But for this to work, there's a militia out there of people government grubbing. I mean, some of these people will do anything for a goddamn buck. I mean, because you have to understand something too. That pandemic was meant to hobble people, to make them more susceptible to compromising their ethics. But then what people don't realize is that once they're in there and they begin to lose sense of themselves, that is part of Dr. Mengele's whole system, is to destroy you from the inside out. Meanwhile, oh my God, whoever's in charge of, the street theater, okay, let me tell you something. So I'm just going to term it as Psycho Willie, because you guys are Willy Wonka's League of Doom for the government grubbers running game. Willy Wonka is using your psychotic street theater to exploit you. It's kind of weird, because I kind of have, what's it called? That's syndrome. Stockholm syndrome. Okay. But then, it's kind of like a weird game, because whenever these government grubbers are given psychotic street theater, some of it's aimed to mock them, and they don't even see it. They don't see it. Like, for instance, Abu Dhabi. That was something I had actually written about or spoken about on YouTube or Facebook. But when it comes to Abu Dhabi, the hallmark principle of Abu Dhabi and study was to see that, okay, say you get a bunch of people who are, authoritative in nature in a small place. They can actually have this kind of psychosis to where they become maniacal in nature, in ways they would not have otherwise acted outside of that particular environment. So whenever there's an environment conducive to toxic say, toxic ways of behavior, of domineering, this is what brings it out in people, okay? So if you kind of think of Abu Dhabi, you know, in the sense of the gang stalkers, this is psychosis that we're talking about. But one of the things that Willy Wonka would do is, you know, have them come out when you say Abu Dhabi and shit. I'm like, okay, first off, you have no idea what Abu Dhabi is. And second off, you have no idea you're being exploited. And then now the new thing is walking around with your hands behind your back like they were cuffed. I'm like, okay, first off, who's ever pulling the strings behind the psychotic street theater menu, they're exploiting their own motherfucking government grubbers. Yes, they are. Because you gotta understand something. Your government grubbers, your overlords look down on you. Yeah, they do. And so they have no issues throwing you all under the bus. And oh my God, you guys will just get so thrown under the bus and not even see it. Because when your expiration time comes to its expiration date, they're just gonna cart you off and liquidate you, bitch. Yes, they are. I mean, because they have the handy dandy, you know, organ trafficking table, not to mention the human trafficking. Oh my God. Okay, so at any rate, that is your militia. What they had been doing earlier is that they come over here and kind of stop like right here in front of my car, and then go on in their segmented my mind's kind of drawing a black in their segmented pattern in their segmented pattern. And when they do that, they stand there and project their voice so you can hear, so your targeted individual can hear them. And then whenever they talk, that's the gaslighting. That is your fucking war zone. Where there is no liberty, there is no peace. You know, and then what they started to do was at the Marina Park, Gasworks Park, they started to use their kids as like a buffer to gaslight you. So God forbid you took a picture of their kids being fucking helians because mom and dad standing over there training them, coaching them to be psychotic on the down low. That's what they're doing. I mean, okay, now I'm seeing younger kids like 5 and 6 and then 3. But and then this is one of the things that Willy Wonka and the League of Doom has recently done. So when I'm in my car, I look over, they start having their kids undress right there. I was like, and this is what really bothered me, is that their behavior with the kids, you can see they were very used to undressing. I mean, if you told me at 5 or 6 to, like, you know, start to change my clothes right there in front next to a car with the door open, I would have been like, I would have fumbled my way through that. Shit, I'm a grown woman. And anytime I get with somebody new, I fumble my way through that. These kids did it like pros. That's what bothered me. Did it like pros. And if they did that like pros, they're very accustomed to being sexually molested. And God forbid I took a video of that to use as my upload. Fuck you. I know what you're trying to do, Gestapo. It's not going to work. So when you send your children to government grub me, no, I'm not going to video record that. Because that's what you want. You guys are trying to hand me up a more psychotic street theater. And then so for everybody that knows about all this godforsaken... okay, here we go. We got another one on target. Hello, government grubber. How you doing? The sad thing is that a lot of these people that they tool, they're using their drug addictions against them. See, I got no issues when somebody got sucked into their drug addiction, you know. But I can see that the government is tooling their drug addiction against them by, you know, keeping them on the fucking hamster wheel. So what the government is doing right now is making a lawless society of parasites. I mean, to the point that, okay, Here's a fucking good idea for you as an objective learner. Get in contact with your local police departments and ask them, how long has their subjective objective protocol for gang stalking been in effect? Oh, it's not? Oh my God. That's because they're part of the government grubbing system. They're enabling the cesspool. And the good brothers are having a difficult time treading their own water. So, but as a public, what you can do is, get in contact with the police department. Give them the leg up. They need to get the government grubbing away by building the subjective objective protocol for gang stalking already. So, but at any rate, thank you for listening. It's a little... I noticed the template of the government grubbers are more active during the day. I can even see them take off from one shift and the other one comes in. It's a militia. It's a militia, people. It's a militia. So that cesspool, unless it goes away, it's just going to get fucking bigger. I'm like, okay, take this kid for instance, right? Government grubber. She fit the ebb and flow. Plus, it's, her body language gives it away. At any rate, kind of got off track there. There's something I wanted to say. It's okay. I'm just very passionate about sharing all of this. Oh, yeah. Okay, so take that kid back there, for example, right? She gets duped into government grubbing, right? They got an expiration date, bitches. And then for the families that participate, oh my God, the government grubbing system of the satanic portion, enjoy the families with the children. So they can fracture the family and then get the kid to do whatever unholy acts that they want. So this government grubbing, gang stalking was only the sleight of hand, pretend it doesn't work. Pretend it's not there, because the real issue is the satanic practices of it. The sacrifice end of it, and the life insurance payouts, and then, of course, the organ trafficking, not to mention the people trafficking and all of that. But consider the fentanyl introduction into the United States. It goes in the cesspool of your government grubbing and your gang stalking. It's just the universe, in tandem. But to say that this government grubbing, the gang stalking, has to go away, it's kind of like, okay, who's holding on to the cesspool? Because now it becomes, never mind the machine was broken when you got there, okay? Because I was just like, fucking just fix it. Now it's become, who is the abomination holding tight to keep the goddamn cesspool alive? Because your government grubbers, they're still there. They're still a-coming. They shouldn't be there, bitches. That's why once I had said, okay, even if you said, hey, little flower, you're cool now, you can go. And we stopped the government grubbing, made the proclamation. My question is, could they still stop? Because you're looking at different crime syndicates that participate in the government grubbing, that have already aligned the well-paved way. Because he's been here for 25 years, ever since Project Paperclip. So to say that it needs to go away is an understatement. But what's happening to me can happen to anybody. Anybody. Nobody is impervious to this. It's amazing I'm still alive. For reals. But we can point the fingers at who's responsible in my case, okay? Because that's evident. But even if you cut the head off that snake, you have to question yourself, who was the energy that put my antagonists up against me? Because That's who the real culprit is. And who is that? The Illuminati, bitches. The Illuminati. Now, I ain't got no fucking beef with them, but everybody should understand the level of fuckery is going on out here. So, the Matrix, the reptilians were here first, honey. And if you don't like me saying it, just say, okay, it was just live action role play and I was just kidding. But do whichever you want. Anyhow, thank you for listening. The point of this video was to pull into focus the gravity of the magnitude of the government grubbers. It's a militia. Anyhow, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and share so the others can get a hold of the information. And if anybody gets mixed up in the gang stalking, don't beat yourself up for it. Get out of it already. Ghost those bastards. Hit reset, repent, take 2 to 3 souls with you, and become the prodigal son and prodigal daughter. Because I do not think for an instant anybody who joined the government grubbing really knew about it. I mean, I could be wrong. It's just the way I see it. And I think there's a whole spectrum of who got pulled into it. But my next video is going to be about a different topic. This one was about trying to reach the understanding for everybody to get on the same board with realizing the depth and magnitude of this. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. And I love you guys. You guys have helped me stay alive just by knowing about my situation. Because it's a lot easier to pick you off if nobody knows what's going on. All right, bye for now.